Rolling intro.
Hi, welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. I'm Tammy White. I'm your host and founder and CEO of the Bobby White Foundation. Thanks for joining us this evening. I forgot what I named this something. It has to do with Men's Health Month. Anyways, but first, let's thank our producer, John Gaston with Area 52 Media Group. We have Joseph behind the scenes today. We haven't seen him for a while, so that's really cool. He's our tech guy today. Anything you guys want to have your own show, contact John at Area 52. You don't even have to be close to us. I mean, he's in Georgia and I'm in Florida. We used to tape in the same studio here in Florida, and then he moved to Georgia, and now we do it remotely from I'm in the office of the foundation. So we want to thank them. And then also our sponsors, Dylan Gaston with the mortgage firm, Anything Mortgages. I tell you every week she's the best, and I am sure of it. So Anything Mortgages, she can help you. And then also Tammy White Galleries and Custom Framing. Now, also, the gallery and Area 52 Media Group are a sponsor of Art for Hope, which we'll get to in a minute. So I just want to remind people, too, that even though it's summertime, we're still having our support groups. So by the time this one airs, the next one for Spring Hill is going to be in July. And that one is going to be on July 8th. And then the Newport Richie support group is going to be here next week on the 18th. So remember, they're open to any lost survivors. It's peer-to-peer support groups. The facilitators are your peers too. Everyone there is a lost survivor, maybe at different points on the journey, but we're there to support each other. It's a safe place for us. Of course, the Newport Richie one is at the Oasis Coffee Spot in the bookstore, and the Spring Hill one is at NAMI Hernando. So we will be having them throughout the summer, so we don't take a vacation, I guess. So, as I had mentioned, we have Art for Hope coming up. Area 52 Media Group and Tammy White Galleries are the host and major sponsors. It is September 10th, and this year it falls on International Suicide Prevention Day. And of course, it'll be held out at the Hilton Garden Inn. You might hear my cat crying in the background. I don't know why. Hilton Garden Inn. They've hosted us since the beginning. We started Art for Hope right after they opened. There'll be light hors d'oeuvres, cash bar, which isn't really cash because they don't take cash anymore, credit card. But there'll be. I think I've got our keynote speakers lined up, which is going to be really good this year, as every year. A little bit different than years in the past, but really good. So we have a keynote speaker, lots of different types of art for sale. We also raffle off a lottery board, lots of awesome gift baskets we always receive. So again, that is free to attend. Um, just share it. Go to Art for Hope has its own Facebook page, so you can like, follow, share, save, whatever, everything, all of the above for that show. And also, sponsors are available, and we have sponsorships available. Um, Also for the show, we got sponsorships available. So if you want to sponsor Art for Hope, the sooner you sponsor, the sooner that you get to be featured on this show and all of our social media going forward up until the evening of the event. So it's a great way to let people know that you support a hard cause, a difficult cause, but a very important cause in our communities all over the world, really. So I have learned today, or not today, this past week. June is Men's Health Month. I guess they have it coming up prior to Father's Day. So we're going to talk a bit about that today. Men's health and men's mental health. They also have something in November, which has more of an emphasis on men's mental health. But here they started putting them together because your physical health and your mental health, they all go hand in hand. So I did a little bit of research, and so that I can give you guys some information. Some of it I just know kind of intrinsically, not really, but just because I've been doing this for so long and I get these statistics, a lot. But I wanted to share the stuff with you because it's really important. Men's Mental Health Month was established in 1994 by Congress to spotlight male health and encourage preventative care. So they started with awareness campaigns, public, value, draw attention in the gaps with care. Just the whole gamut. And even though, in the 10 years, I haven't been really doing this for 10 years, but in the 10 years since we lost Bobby to suicide, there's really, and I don't know if, really quite honest, if it's just because I'm more aware of it now. But I think, in reality, the resources are kind of easier to get to in some instances, not always, because I do know that all across the board, rural areas have a much more difficult time getting any kind of healthcare, mental health care, and being taken care of and served, in those communities just because of, the distance, that they have. But there's so much more information out there now, and it's easier to get to than there has been in the past. So I'm going to, and I can't, keep all this in my head. So I'm going to read some of this stuff because I know that I'll forget like half of what I want, to let you know. But anyway, what they're trying to do, just as with mental health across the board, be it, male, female, getting the conversations to be normalized, for men's health, being able, just to talk about it. It's important. I get, men have been raised to, just when they're boys, suck it up. You don't talk about it. They're supposed to be the tough guys, and all this, and which has led to, the silence and um, the stigma of being able to talk about your health or your mental health. And that's across the board, but it's even on the male side, it's even much harder because there is more of a stigma to that. Um, so, just for instance, got an itchy nose today. For men versus women, when it comes to the oh gosh, men's suicide rate compared to women, and these are numbers from 2023, is 4 to 1. Globally, men's suicide rate is about twice it's over twice that it is for women, and we see that here in our communities. Over 50% of the suicides are men versus women. Um, it's and it's all across. I'm looking at these numbers, and I've looked at them before, but it's just sometimes it's just hard to perceive. The highest suicide rates in the U.S. occur in older men. 75, and that's what we've been seeing even locally. It's been like 55s in the early 60s age bracket and over. We have here locally, the beginning of this year, I've seen some of um the ages drop a bit um than we have had in the most recent past. We did uh, with the coalitions that we're involved with, put together a flyer to we handed out to some of the publics and some of the senior communities on mental health and resources for the older population, because that's what we were seeing was the majority of the suicides in our community were the older males. That's the way it was, for us. Bobby was 62 when his brother attempted 2 years prior to that. He was 62 years old. Um, and then in this report too, and it says here, racially American Indian, Alaska Native Americans, and non-Hispanic white men have the highest rates in the U.S. Suicide rates are lowest with Asian and Pacific Islanders. So some of the root causes. I'm going to be looking at this. See, like, you're going to be going over this with me, even though I did look at it before. Some of the root causes why men's suicide rates are higher. And research identifies a couple, actually multiple factors. Masculinity norms, emphasizing strength, stoicism, self-reliance. Men repress their emotions, and it's hard for them to seek and express, emotional help or support. Anger, substance use is big. Social isolation and loneliness, and that often comes with the elder population, but then also somebody that's in, that state of mind, when you include substances, depression, people isolate. Women will do the same thing. those are the strongest predictors, but also there's economic issues. I mean, it's really, that's the one thing that I've always said. That's why this is just so hard and so complicated, because you can't narrow it down. There's just so much involved. Um, Economic stressors, job loss, financial insecurity. Um, of course, COVID. Um, I know several women who lost their husbands to COVID. Um, Also, the access to lethal means. Um, Most male suicides are with firearms, and that makes it way more lethal when you attempt. um, and again, substance use, substance and drug abuse, not always, but quite often are factors. I know alcohol was a factor in Bobby's situation. In a lot of situations, drug and alcohol is, it's a thing that you're not afraid of anything, and that's that one split second. You're not in your right mind. Chronic illness, in which we had that too. Bobby had MS for 25 years. So, yeah. It says here, notably, 60% of men who die by suicide had no documented health diagnosis. Bobby didn't, although it did run in his family. But he didn't have any of that. So the CDC reported here, and this is, I believe, from 2018 to 2023, U.S. suicide rates peaked in 2018, that then dipped slightly. I mean, it was maybe 1 year by just a teeny bit. CDC in 2022 reports show that in 2021, which was the height of COVID, reached its highest rate since 1941. Huh. Women's suicide rates peaked, and the age rate, by contrast. Okay, it says here the highest rate were in the older males again. The lowest rate were in boys, which was good. But then the women's peaked also, and the age range rose to 45 to 64. But still, globally, the men's suicide rates are about twice that of females. So it says something here about physical health disparities. American men die younger than women. Life expectancy in 2024 was 79 years versus for women, 74 for men. Men's shorter lifespans largely reflect higher preventable chronic disease and injuries, cardiovascular hypertension. So that's part of it for like the men's health, is because they don't go to the doctor. I know that Bobby, well, and this was after he had colon cancer. We did get him in a few years after what his normal checkup would have been, I guess. and he had to have surgery, and the surgery went good. He didn't have to have any radiation or anything like that. But then I think it was a couple of years after that, I noticed at times he would hold the side of his stomach, and usually when I saw it, and it would be worse, is when he was drinking. Well, he was afraid that his cancer came back, and he didn't want to say anything. And I finally got him into the doctor, and we found out that he had diverticulitis, which is very painful and is exacerbated by alcohol. But at least the cancer didn't come back. And that's what his surgeon, who is retired now, super, super nice guy. His name was Dr. Who, really. Great, great surgeon. But, and that's the other reason for the push for, men to get the regular checkups like us women do. Like most women do. I say I'm not really good at that. But anyways, so men typically tend to die younger because they're not going to the doctor regularly. They're not getting these checkups, for heart disease, hypertension, all that. Men are 50% less likely than women to even have a primary care physician. Well, now we pretty much always did with Bobby because of his MS. But not to say that he went to the doctor regularly, because mostly we were just treating the MS, and there was nothing that they could really do about it. And we didn't want to put him on conventional medication, which in our case personally ended up being our best decision as far as treating his MS. So men seek care way less. Okay, so yeah, it's for just even blood pressure screenings, cancer screenings, just regular overall health for men. So I wanted to share some resources. I shared some last week, and we'll get to one of them here in a minute. And I was glad to see it on here. But, of course, at the end of the show, we always share the crisis line. And that's something that people can have in their phone, have it you can memorize it. It's just 3 numbers, 9888. And this is the thing too, is, these resources are out there and they're available. How well they work, I can't tell you. I know that they're there. Sometimes it just may not be convenient, but there's multiple resources. Not only, outside your own circle or network of people, whether it be, friends or family that you can trust, or coworkers or other business associates in the community. We have a slew of resources. But then again, the thing is you got to reach out. You got to ask, and you got to do. So also there is, and these are some resources that we talk about like all the time. Okay, so there's also NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. They have tons of free resources, groups, things that they do. They get together a lot of, depending on where you're at. I mean, here in Tampa Bay, especially on the Nature Coast, I know that all 4 counties of my Rotary district which is the nature coast from Citrus County, Hernando County, Pasco County, Pinellas County. Each one of our counties has a county NAMI office and resources. Like our NAMI Pasco just did the trail out there at Starkey Park, which is really cool, which I haven't been back out there yet. But I'm going to get back out there soon. The walking trail out at the park is great. And then NAMI Hernando, that's where we meet for our Spring Hill support group. They have a lot of resources and other types of support groups besides, ours for lost survivors. They're a great group. And I saw on here, oh, yeah, there's one, and Joseph might be able to bring this website up. It's headsupguys.org. It's a Canadian-based organization that, oh, no, he doesn't have it. Oh, well, I'll put the link in the chat, in the notes, or in the comments, whatever you call it. It was on last week's show. So that is a great website. They have self-check quizzes, recovery stories, free skill building courses, therapist directory. Even though they're Canadian based, I think it's a really, really good resource. And then there's another one, and I haven't checked this one out quite as much. It's called Men Therapy, or mantherapy.org. And it's by a company. It says by Grit Digital Health. Uses humor and head inspections, self-screening to engage men, addressing depression, substance use, suicide risk, and they're evidence-based for breaking the stigma and help getting people to seek help. You got to get the help. It's out there. So there's a lot of digital tools. Check with your organization that you work with, your community, the VA hospital. I'm going to put some of this other stuff up on here after the show airs that has more information here. So we're going to show our little quote for today, our little, push for men's health. Men's Health Month. Strength isn't measured by how much you carry alone. Sometimes true strength is found in reaching out, speaking up, and allowing others to walk beside you. You don't have to do it alone. You have your community, your families, employers, clinicians. Get involved in local awareness campaigns, your employer. But first, remember to keep these phone numbers available, have them memorized. 988 is the easiest one. Because remember, you could be the one person to give them hope, because I truly believe there is always hope. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.